one of my co-pilot attendees said, Mark, I love, being able to, have all these different things inside of SAM. But what I would really like to be able to do is set up a landing page that all it does is for internal purposes, for our own purposes. I want to be able to use it for like a listing intake form. So it might have something like this, where it's a form that she will use, in which case she can fill in who's my sellers, what's the property address, who's the listing agent, how many bedrooms, bathrooms, when was the roof installed, all kinds of questions for either the property or the listing. Or you could use it as a transaction intake form where she's putting all this stuff in. She was using Google Forms to do this, where they created this Google form, and they'd fill in everything and then send it to a Google Sheet, and then they could do stuff with it from the Google Sheet, but they were still having to manually put it into the database. Well, now by using this intake form option, you can not only deal with bringing in leads as a way of getting leads into your database, you can now bring in properties, listings, transactions into your database. So the way you do that, you can click on the little plus button here. There are two new form options. One is a listing intake and one is a transaction intake. And whenever you do that, I'm not going to do it on this one. It will automatically add the property fields for you. So like bedrooms, bathrooms, property, city, state, zip type fields. But you can now go in, and whenever you're adding a field to your forms, you can click on add field. It will default to a contact field. So it's really no different from what you had before, other than there's a choice now of what database is it going to come from. But now you can say, well, I want to do it from a property or a listing or a transaction. Maybe I want to come here and say, I want to add a listing field. I still have all my text fields, all that kind of stuff. I do have a couple new ones down here for party member. So if I want to say, I want to make sure that I choose my sellers, my buyers, my inspectors, or people that I customarily use, I can put them in there. If you put in the email address, it'll grab the email address, grab the person, and automatically select them. Maybe it's a team member where I want to make sure that I've got maybe 4 buyer agents that I deal with, and I want to pick for this particular one which one is it going to be assigned to. So you can do team members. That's part of your SAM account. You can do that. So these are some new buttons, but whenever you're selecting a field, so let's just say a text field, any of the fields that are now part of the listing are now in here as listing fields that you can assign, whether it's a custom field, bedrooms, bathrooms of a property, maybe the narratives, like for a new listing, maybe you want to type in your narrative information, your website information, all the different things that go along with a listing. You can now select those as fields, fill them in on your intake form, and then what happens then is whenever you submit, it will, if you have down here at the bottom, if you have this checked, it can automatically add that listing property information to your database, automatically start it. There could be date fields in there. So maybe you're doing it a transaction and you got your signed contract date. Well, you can put in the date of when the signed contract is and it start your routines and stuff. So all the things that would normally start whenever you're doing it inside of SAM, you can now use an intake form that does it. And if you set this to automatically, it'll automatically put it in. Caution, caution, caution. If anybody ever got hold of that URL that wasn't you, there could be a challenge in them adding a bunch of junk to your database. Don't give that out. This allows you to bring in the data, whether it's a listing, property, transaction, and then automatically get it into your database.
So you could have this form open when you're sitting down with some people and you just type in all those answers and it goes right into your database.
Exactly.
That's pretty good.
New field that we have on this is a, and it really doesn't matter. Let's say it's a listing thing here. On the field on here, I do have a timer, a countdown timer. This is brand new as well, where I can say, okay, once I set a time, well, that won't do us any good. The way it currently is. This could be used for, like, if you're doing a webinar or something and you say, I'm going to have this webinar on the 29th at 3 p.m. and whenever they come to register, if it's after that time, then I want to hide the timer. I want to zero it out, or maybe I want to redirect them to another page, or maybe I want to take them to the recording of it or whatever. So I can do different things based off of the timer countdown. I could probably add a next 10 minutes so that it does limit it. But right now you do have to set a time. So maybe I didn't lie to you fully. But there is now a timer option. And what this does then is, I think I've got it on this one right here. Yeah, so right here, I've got a registration. It just kind of counts down, and then I can submit and do stuff till that time. After that time, if they don't submit, then we can do something else. The other thing that I did add was a checklist field, so you can add different checklist items, and anything that's checked can come in as a tag in your tags list. So you could set up different types of tags and stuff in there. And then there's also a place where I wanted to move where the submit button was at. This was something Cody asked about. We were always putting the submit button down at the very bottom. He said, well, I want my fields up here, but maybe I want some extra information down below. And so I can put in my submit button somewhere else. So now there is a field called, let me go to this one here. Actually, no, where am I located? There's a new field called submit button. It's just telling you where you want that submit button to be placed. No big deal.
It's nice.
So you can create all kinds of new landing pages for different things, make them look different ways. You can make them look a lot prettier. This is just kind of an ugly version of it, but I was just testing how you do different things. But in this case, I could come in here, share this, and now here I'm asking what was my contract date. Well, I can select when did I do my contract on this, who's the outside buyer agent, or is it a team member? Maybe Cody's my buyer's agent, so I can choose my team member as being a buyer's agent. What's the sales price on this? Maybe it's $850,000. Who's the buyer? Buyer one, buyer two. If you're doing a transaction on your existing listing, you do need to be able to put in the same MLS number to link them together. So if you've got a listing in there, it's got an MLS number. Whenever you're doing a transaction on it, you need to make sure you link the listing. Otherwise, it just tries to find it by the address. If the address exists exactly, then it will link it to the existing address. Otherwise, it will create a new address. If it has the MLS number and you've already got an MLS listing in the listing side, it finds the listing, it finds the property it's clicked to, no matter what you've got in the address, and it'll link it properly. So the listing number is really, really important if you want to make sure they're linked properly. Maybe you've got different transaction coordinators and you can pick which one or ones that you want. You can choose how many you want to allow to be selected. But then, like what side am I dealing with? Buyer side, listing side only, or whatever. So all of these fields can now be filled in, and whenever you hit submit, then it creates them.